A tremendous pleasure to be speaking with you today.
Now back to the Dan Gemis Real Estate Show on AM 800.
All right, welcome back to the Dan Gemis Real Estate Show. Kathy Talbot, my favorite sales rep with the Dan Gemis team. Now, I say that to whoever's here for the show.
I know, I listen to you.
So tomorrow it's Heather, so she's my favorite sales rep tomorrow. But today it's you, Kath. You're my favorite sales rep.
I'll take it. I'll take it. And our favorite insurance guy.
That's right.
We're all favorites
That's
today.
right. And you know what? I bet you're his favorite sales rep of the Dan Gemis team. Right, Chris?
Absolutely.
Yay, right answer.
There is simply no one better than Kathy Talbot.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Oh, amazing. How's it going, Chris? What's going on in the world of insurance and the world of Chris Gibb?
Oh, the world of Chris Gibb is just, everything is good. It's a beautiful day this weekend, and been out doing some yard work, and now I get to talk to Kathy Talbot and Dan Gemis, so it couldn't get any better.
Wow. Our pleasure. If we've made your day, then you've made our day.
There you go.
There you go.
Oh, my gosh. So today we're talking out-of-province medical insurance.
Yes. You know, I thought we could switch it up from the regular home and auto insurance and have people give some thought to out-of-province medical insurance. You know,
all right.
It's not just leaving the country. You have to remember that when you leave the province of Ontario, your OHIP benefits, while they do follow you, it doesn't mean that you're going to be covered in wherever you go.
You know, that's something you don't often think about because you think we're Canadian, so we're traveling, to Quebec or to BC or wherever we're going, Alberta. And you're right, like our medical insurance is provincial. It's a provincial program. So,
But what do you mean, Chris? It'll follow you but not cover you.
Well, your OHIP benefits will pay generally if you're out of province, but only to the amount that the province would have paid in Ontario. So an example I have is I know someone who traveled to Alberta and they fell and hurt themselves and they had to take an ambulance to a hospital. And, their provincial benefit covered all the hospital care, but in Alberta, you pay privately for an ambulance ride. So they had to pay out of pocket, I think it was $1,400 for the ambulance because that wasn't covered through their OHIP benefits, if I remember it correctly.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's something to think about, and the other, in Windsor and Essex County, a lot of people have extended health care through their employer. We're fortunate in this area. We've got a lot of people who have jobs that have that extended health care. But another thing to think about is just because you might consider your partner a spouse and their children, you might consider your children, does your travel medical benefits see it the same way? There's technicalities in there. What I think might be my partner may be covered under my policy, that might not be the case for the insurance company. So you need to figure that out before you just assume that you have coverage.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
So what are some things, if you're looking to get coverage, what's some things you need to think about?
Well, you need to think about is plan ahead, and when you purchase out-of-province medical insurance, you can also purchase trip cancellation insurance or interruption insurance. We've all heard of stories where people were in Europe and, a volcano erupts in Iceland and the planes can't get back and forth. So who's paying for that extra time in the hotel? You can have that added to an out-of-province medical package. But you want to plan ahead because you may have, depending on your age, you may have to fill out a health questionnaire. You may have to get some paperwork signed by your doctor. So don't leave it to the last minute.
Now, is there situations, Kath is still very young, but as she ages and she gets older, does she have to consider certain restrictions there?
You know what? That's a perfect example. Nobody thinks of Kathy ever getting older because she's just so fabulous and
you
so,
guys know how to sugarcoat things.
But as we age, we have pre-existing health conditions. We have health conditions. A lot of times the questions will be, are you on a medication for such and has your prescription changed in the last 6 months? So you may think, oh, well, I've had, heart issues for years, but the doctor just changed your medication 2 months ago. That may be something you need to discuss with your out-of-province medical provider. And the other thing, too, is a lot of times employer-sponsored programs will only have a specific amount of time you can leave the province and have coverage. I've seen some that are, up to 20 days, some go up to 30 days, but, sometimes when you get past that, if it's an extended holiday, you may need to purchase top-up coverage to cover that portion that your personal health insurance policy doesn't cover.
Interesting.
Insurance is just the most interesting thing around.
Oh, it really is. Yeah, next to real estate, it's up there. Hey, listen, while we have you as deputy mayor of the town of Amherstburg, you guys got a council meeting on Monday. It's a big meeting, isn't it?
Yes, it's a big meeting. The town has. We're going to be receiving our traffic master plan study. This is. It doesn't sound as exciting as it actually is, but our traffic master plan study will help the town plan for future growth for the next 10 to 30 years and decide, what kind of streets do we want to have, what kind of accessibility, bike paths, sidewalks, walkability. So there's a lot wrapped into that report that we're going to be discussing.
I'm sure it'll be a short meeting.
Rarely are they short.
Oh my goodness, too funny. Okay, listen. Anything else you want to mention? Everything else in the insurance world? Are we now? Again, you talked about this before. Do you have a question, Kat? Oh, sorry. Okay. Raising your finger. We talked about this before. Yeah, well, not that one. So listen, we're already seeing forest fires out west.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
They're estimating it's going to be another nasty year for fires. I'm assuming, I shouldn't assume, but I'm assuming, is it pretty safe to say that we might see some increases because of these things that they keep blaming every year, right? It's costing a lot of money in insurance coverage.
It is amazing. The actuaries that try to figure out the costs for insurance companies every year, they try to predict the worst case scenario, and Mother Nature seems to throw an even worse case scenario at us. And you're right, these forest fires many of the big ones didn't go out over the winter. They just,
Nope.
It continues to burn under the snow. And then as soon as the warm, dry weather hits, they whip up again. I know Fort McMurray, which everybody will remember, I think it was 10, 15 years ago, Fort McMurray was almost completely destroyed. They're facing it again. I want to say, if I remember correctly, 20 to 25% of the community is either evacuated or on orders to be prepared for evacuation. So these forest fires, this climate change we're seeing is just driving insurance prices through the roof. We all end up paying for it no matter where we live.
Boy, oh boy, we'll watch closely for sure. If anyone has questions about insurance, Chris, what's the best way to reach out to your team?
Best way to reach out, 519-736-8228. You can talk to Danielle or Emily. They are almost as fantastic as Kathy Talbot. Or you can email me directly, chris@gibbinsurance.ca, and I am almost as fantastic as Dan Gemma.
You're absolutely right, Chris. Almost. You're almost there. So
Almost.
close.
If I keep
Always
saying my
something to
prayers
strive
and
for.
eating well.
Oh my God, amazing, Chris. Listen, go have an awesome rest of the weekend, and we'll chat with you again in a couple weeks.
You got it, Dan. All the best to you both, and have a great weekend.
Thanks, you. Chris Gibb, owner of Gibb Insurance Brokers in Amherstburg, and deputy mayor of the town of Amherstburg as well. So great guy, and if you have any questions, reach out to his team. They're great to work with. So we'll take a break. We're going to come back and talk about some ways to spot a bad contractor. We've all dealt with them, not fun to deal with, and they can be very, very costly. So we'll talk about some ways to spot a bad contractor. Lots more to come right here on the Dan Gemmis Real Estate Show.